Hello all, welcome back to the channel. So I hope we have gone through my last video which was about while loop. So if you know while loop, for loop is very easy for you to understand. So in case you have missed my last video, you can click on the top right I button and you will get the link of the last while loop video. So now in this video we are going to learn about for loop. So what is a for loop? So for loop is same as while loop. The only difference is that in while loop we need to check the condition, but in for loop we don't have any such condition. So let's start with the example. So now what we want to do is we want to print the first 10 numbers. So what we can do here is we can simply write for. This for is the keyword here, and then followed by a variable name. Just write a variable. It can be anything. This variable name can be anything. You can write it as your name, you can write it as anything. So I've written a variable here for variable and then write in for variable in range. Now range is a function. So let me write it first and then I'll explain you what this gives. So we'll start from 0 and we'll end at 11 and just press colon, press enter and just print variable and hit shift enter. Now here you can see you have printed the value from 0 to 10. So now what's happening here is this range function. So what is this range function? The range function is an inbuilt function in Python, so which returns a sequence of numbers starting from 0, increments by 1 by default, and stops before a specified number. So this is the start index and this is the end index. So one thing to note here is that 0 is the start index and 11 is the end index, but 11 is not considered here, not considered as if 11 is not included. The end index is always excluded inside a range function. So what we are doing here is first, okay, let me write, I'll write it here. So what will happen is the moment we write for variable in range this. So first, so I'll indicate variable with v just for simplicity. So variable will take the value 0 because the first value in this range 0 to 11 will be 0. So the value will the value of variable will be 0 first. Then again it will print the value of the variable, so it printed 0. Again it will go back here, and in this range function what will happen, it will increment the value from 0 to 1. So the variable will, this variable will now point to this value, this one value, and then again we are using the print statement to print what this variable is pointing to. It will again print 1 and so on. It will print up to 10. It will not print 11 because 11 is not included in the range function. So okay, let me give you another example. Say we can write name equals to say Sumit. So now we can simply write for letter. So this letter is the variable name. You can use anything, any variable name you want. So for letter N, what we can write, we can write name. Sorry, we can write name, and then you can simply print letter. So what will happen here is, so this, what is this name? This name is this string. This name points to this string. So what will happen is the letter will first point to this s value here. It will consider this as the first element, then it will print this s, then again it will go into this and it will point to the second element. It will print this and it will go to the last element and print it. So it will continue until it prints the last element. So we'll just print it, we'll just run it, and then here we can see it has printed all the elements inside the string. So this is how a for loop works. This is also using this also we can execute a bunch of statements. So As you can see, the difference is that we don't have any condition or something like that. So okay, and this is all about for loop. So we can do something like, we can also do something like so for example, if I tell you I want you to, okay, so let me copy this code first and then I'll put it here. And suppose if I tell you to print the numbers between 10 and 20, so what we can do, so we can simply just we can change the range, we can change the start point. So start point will be here, and if I want you to print the print the value from 10 to 20, where 10 and 20 both are included, so you can just simply write 21, because here 21 will not be included. So if I print this, it will print the value from 10 to 20. Now if I choose 20 here, what will happen? What do you think will happen? This 20 will not get printed. So let's run this code and see. Here you can see this 20 is not getting included. So to include this 20, we need to increment it, and that's it. Okay, so now suppose if I want okay, so now what we can do is, now I want you to print the even numbers in the range of 10 to 20. So now what I want you to print all the even numbers between 10 and 20. What you can do, so you can simply write like this: for variable in range 10 to 21. Okay, here 20 is included, so we want 20 and 10 and 20 both should be included. So now what we can write is, we can write a if statement. If, so what are we checking? So we need to check if, so for, if you remember, for odd, even or odd, what we need to check is, we need to check if the remainder is equal to 0 or not. If we divide the number by 2, if you are getting the remainder as 0. So for odd and for even and odd numbers, what we need to check is, we need to check if we divide the given number by 2, and if we are getting the remainder as 0, then it's an even number. If not, then it's an odd number, correct? So we'll just check, we'll just put it variable modulus 2 equals to 0. So if this condition is true, it states that if we divide variable by 2 and if we get the remainder as 0, so print even, we can print as even, and we can also print the value here like this, even, and then it will give a space, and then we'll print the value of variable here. So let's do it. So here you can see 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. So these are the even numbers between 10 and 20. There is one more shortcut which I want to tell you, is that, let me just copy this code here and paste it here. So there is one more parameter which you can put inside this range function, which is the step. So remember, the first parameter is the start index, the second is the end index, and if you put the third parameter is the step index. So by default it is 1. So now if we set it as 2, so what it will do is, it will jump 2 steps from 10 to 21. So the initial value of this variable will be 10. It will jump 2 steps. So from 10 to, it will go back to 12, and 14, then 16, 18, and 20. Then once it reaches 20, it won't go further, because 20 is the maximum range. So let's just print it. So here you can see we get the same result. So okay, let me copy this code again and put this here. Now suppose if we put the value 3, so it will take 3 steps now. Just hit shift enter. You can see it is incrementing 3 steps from 10 to 13, 16, and 19. So okay, we can also use for loop with lists. So yes, we have not discussed about what lists are. So in the upcoming videos we are going to learn deeply into list. And okay, let me show you an example. And for say item in, so this is a list here. Let me put it as 2 5 2 sorry 2 4 8 5 7, and then let me put a string also, and then do this. And then what we can do is we want to print every item in this list. So this is a list, so don't worry about it. We are going to discuss more deeply about list in the upcoming videos. So we'll just print the item here. So what it will do is the this item will first point to this is one of the element in this list. So this item will first point to this, it will print it, then it will again point to this second element, print it, it will again go to this third element, print it, and so on until this list is completed. So just hit shift enter, it will print all the elements in a list like this. Now suppose like in the last video in the while loop lecture we studied about break and continue. So can we use that same can we use the same concept here as well? So suppose if I don't want to print the value 8 here, so what we can do is, okay, let me copy the code. So what we can do here is we can check if item equals to 8, give a colon. Don't forget to hit the colon. Like if you're using any conditional statement, or if you're using any for loop or while loop, if you're not giving a colon, it will throw you an error. Also, when you press enter, make sure that you have a tab space. Say, so whatever statement we are going to write here, so it will have a forward space or a tab space, and it will indicate that the code which we are going to write here is inside this if block and not inside this for. It is obviously inside this for block, but it is also inside this if block. So let me write continue. So what will happen is, the moment this item value is equals to 8, it will skip this part and it will go back to this it will go back to the first line. So let's run this cell and check. So here as you can see, it skipped the 8. It did not print the 8 as if the item is equals to 8. It encoded continue, and then so whatever statement is below this if block, it will not execute it, and it will go back to the first. It will go back to the next element. It will go and fetch the next item. So that's it from the for loop video. I hope you liked the video. Don't forget to hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, please do subscribe, and thank you very much for watching the video. Thanks a lot.